In August of 1945, as the Pacific War was nearing its end, a decision was made that would forever change the course of history. This decision was not to prolong a war that had already lasted too long, but to end it swiftly and decisively, using a method never before seen in human history: the atomic bomb. This was the choice made by President Harry S. Truman and the U.S. leadership, a decision that would alter the face of war and the future of humanity. And on the morning of August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb, known as Little Boy, was dropped on Hiroshima, turning the city into a sea of flames in seconds, wiping out hundreds of thousands of lives and leaving consequences that the entire world would face for generations to come. To fully understand this decision, we must look back at the history of the war. World War II, which began in 1939, had already been raging for 6 years with many nations involved. Major powers had plunged into a global conflict, shedding blood in every corner of the earth, and the toll on human life was astronomical. Japan, one of the major military powers in Asia, had officially entered the war in 1941 with the attack on Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into the conflict. From that moment on, Japan expanded its war efforts across the Pacific, invading China and other nations. By the mid-1940s, despite crucial victories for the U.S., Japan showed no signs of surrendering. The U.S. military had already faced tremendous losses during the war. Battles such as Midway, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa had claimed millions of lives and caused irreparable damage. The planned invasions of Japan's home islands were expected to cost hundreds of thousands more American lives. It was clear to the U.S. that a new solution was needed, one that could end the war without further bloodshed. The solution was the atomic bomb. The war effort in the U.S. was not limited to the battlefields, but also took place in laboratories, where top scientists worked to develop the atomic bomb. The Manhattan Project, a top-secret initiative, was launched in 1942 with the goal of developing the atomic bomb, a weapon of unprecedented power that could change the outcome of the war. Led by scientists like Robert Oppenheimer, Enrico Fermi, and Leo Szilard, the project focused on harnessing the power of the atom. After months of intense research and experimentation, the first atomic bomb was successfully tested at Alamogordo, New Mexico, in July 1945. The Trinity test marked the dawn of the nuclear age, and with it, a new form of warfare had arrived. The bomb's destructive power was unimaginable. Not only could it end the war quickly, but it could also bring about unprecedented devastation. Despite their success, the scientists involved were deeply concerned about the weapon they had created. It was a powerful tool for ending the war, but it also had the potential to open a new era of destruction and fear. On the morning of August 6, 1945, the B-29 bomber Enola Gay took off from the island of Tinian, carrying the first atomic bomb, Little Boy. The flight was not just another military mission, it was a turning point in world history. Hiroshima, a large port city in Japan with a population of around 350,000, was a key military and industrial center for Japan. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb was dropped from an altitude of 9,000 meters. It plummeted toward the city and exploded at approximately 600 meters above the ground, creating an unimaginable explosion. Instantly, a massive fireball erupted from the center of Hiroshima. The shockwave from the blast flattened everything in its path. Buildings, bridges, and infrastructure were wiped out in an instant. The intense heat of the explosion incinerated everything in its immediate vicinity, and over 100,000 people were killed instantly. Thousands more suffered severe burns, and many more died in the weeks and months that followed due to radiation exposure. Within seconds, Hiroshima became a wasteland. The atomic bomb had wiped out a large portion of the city, and the consequences of its use were felt immediately and devastatingly. After the explosion, Hiroshima was reduced to ruins. The city that had once been thriving was now a sea of destruction. Those who survived faced unimaginable suffering. The survivors, known as hibakusha, not only bore the physical scars of the explosion, but also the psychological scars of witnessing such devastation. The people of Hiroshima suffered from severe burns, radiation sickness, and a host of other illnesses caused by the explosion and the radiation that followed. But the physical toll was only part of the story. The psychological trauma endured by the survivors was equally devastating, and many struggled with the long-term effects for the rest of their lives. The images of the mushroom cloud rising over Hiroshima became a symbol of a new era, a terrifying new chapter in the history of warfare, where the power to destroy entire cities and populations could be harnessed in an instant. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, the U.S. dropped a second atomic bomb on Nagasaki. This bomb, named Fat Man, was slightly less powerful than Little Boy, but still caused immense devastation. While Nagasaki was not as completely destroyed as Hiroshima, the bomb still killed tens of thousands of people instantly and left many more with life-threatening injuries. The devastation caused by these two bombs forced Japan to face an undeniable reality. They could not continue the war. The destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki led to Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945, officially bringing an end to World War II. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki did not just end the war. They ushered in a new era of warfare, one defined by the threat of nuclear destruction. The bombs caused immediate and long-lasting suffering in Japan, but their effects rippled out across the world. Survivors of the bombings, known as hibakusha, faced lifelong health problems, including cancer, leukemia, and other radiation-related illnesses. The psychological scars were just as deep, and many struggled with the trauma for the rest of their lives. The bombings also sparked a global debate about the ethics of using such a weapon. While some argued that the bomb was necessary to end the war quickly and save lives, others questioned the morality of using nuclear weapons on civilian populations. The bombings remain a controversial subject to this day. But perhaps the greatest legacy of the atomic bombings of Japan is the understanding of the terrifying power of nuclear weapons. The world's reliance on nuclear technology continues to this day, with the threat of nuclear warfare remaining one of the greatest risks to global peace and stability. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were among the most controversial events in human history. They ended World War II, but at a horrific cost. These bombings forever altered the landscape of war and forced humanity to confront the terrifying potential of nuclear weapons. As we look back on these events, we must ask ourselves, what lessons have we learned from the past? And with the continued existence of nuclear weapons, can we prevent future disasters on this scale? How can we ensure that the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are never repeated? Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future content. We would love to hear your thoughts on this historical event. What's your opinion on the decision to drop the atomic bomb on Japan? Do you think there are alternatives to using nuclear weapons in such a situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you think this video is important, please share it with your friends and family so that we can all reflect on the lessons history has taught us. Let's continue this conversation and ensure that we learn from the past to build a better future. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.